So you hear the chord progression going on. The melody notes are used, but not exactly in order. There are spots now when the vamp starts where the melody becomes very prominent. And so what I'd like to do is point out a few spots. So saxophones, would you play measure 19 for me? Sorry, measure 20, make that. And I want you to do it very slowly. And I want you to just play the and of 1, 2, and of 2, and the downbeat of 3. And just play those 4 notes for me. And I'll give it to you one at a time. Here we go. First note. And that is the melody of the tune, but it's buried in the middle of a melodic line. So what I did is I added some notes to it to give it a little bit of length. So saxophones, let's play that pick up there right now in tempo, and just play your full 8th note pattern for measure 20 and 21. 1, 2, 3, 4. And there you have the melodic line. We get an answer to that in the trumpet section. So trumpets. What I'd like you to do is start at measure 21 on the and of 4. Play the and of 1 in the next bar. Skip the and of 2. Play the first of the 16th notes, the E that you have. Skip the remaining notes, and then jump down to the B. And I'll give you each one of those notes one at a time. So it'll be E, F, E, up an octave, and then B. Here we go. First note. There's the melody again. Now the trumpets will play that fragment there in context. So that's all of measure 21, 22, and 23, just that much. I'll give you 4 beats. 1, 2, 3, 4. And so you hear, with the addition of a couple extra notes, the melody comes in, and that answers the saxophone figure. The 9th of the chord turns out to be a prominent note in the melody. It's usually sustained longer than any other melodic tone. And so in order to mirror that, I did the same thing. So the saxophones in bar 24 are holding the 9th of the chord. I won't have them play that right now, but you'll hear that when we put this together. Trumpets again. Play measure 25. And let's go ahead and do that in rhythm. Just measure 25 and 26. Don't worry about the title order, just start right on me. 1, 2, 3, 4. In measure 24 preceding that is actually the melody backwards with the addition of a couple of notes. Trumpets, if you could do this, measure 24, play the E on the and of 4, then go backwards to the F, skip 2 notes, go up to the E, and then drop to the B. Play those notes for me. So this is backwards, minus a couple of notes in measure 24. First note. Put that together, you get the backwards and then the frontwards of the melody with the addition of a couple of notes. Here we go, trumpets. Measure 24 and measure 25 and measure 26. 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. So you hear how that melody generates more material that way. In addition, the melody can also be useful in background material. Saxophone's going to ask you to get your woodwinds up again. During the middle of the tenor sax solo, there's a section behind the bridge. And so what I've done is done permutations of the melody of the bridge while the saxophone solo is going on. And so these are complemental figures. In fact, let's go ahead and, well, I'll add the trombones in a minute. Let's have the woodwinds play at measure 10. Just play your first 2 notes. First note, 110. Because the melody is da 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 da. So I left the triplet out and I went for the first note of the melody and then the high note of the melody. then I just did a reversal of the intervals in the next measure, measure 111. So my woodwinds played 110 and 111 together. 1, 2, 3, and. Okay? Now I've done the same thing in measure 114, but because the interval ascended the first time, the second time, I made the interval descend. It should be really a concert F sharp going up to a C sharp. I have the F sharp go down to the C sharp, adding variety, but still using the melody notes. So here we are, woodwinds, measure 114 and 150. 2, 1, 2, 3, and. So the melodic characteristics provide me with lots of material to use. Even with the woodwind sections at the end, let's jump to the very end of the chart. And let's play the last 2 measures. And this is actually, in fact, let's play the first 4 notes that you have. I'll just give you each note. Ready? So there's the melody again, and then I've added a couple of extra notes. And let's play it in tempo. 3, 4, 1. So once again, I've used the main theme of the melody in an 8th note pattern to just put a cap on the end of the arrangement. Another aspect of what I've done is to use the woodwinds at the very beginning of the arrangement, to use them in the very middle of the arrangement, behind the soloist, and then to close the arrangement with it. So there's a sense of cohesiveness. The woodwinds aren't used once and then dispensed with, but they are there and they reappear and they give us a similar instrumentation on each end of the arrangement, giving it a nice beginning and a nice end. One other aspect of melodic use comes during the shout chorus. And this will be at measure 190. Once again, I wanted to use the melody in a shout chorus. In a shout chorus, it's not necessary to use the melody. It can also certainly be compositionally different, although it's nice to come back to the melody because we've had a long section of soloing going on with a lot of development. So in this case, restating the melody became something that I thought would be useful and help put some glue back into the chart and hold it together, especially after the development section. So first off, the saxophones at measure 190 play again each one of your notes, your first 4 notes that you have, saxophones. Here we go. First note. So right there, they got the melody, but what I've done is change the rhythm of it so that it's syncopated, and in this way there's some rhythmic interest provided. So here we go, saxophones, measure 190. Play the first 8 bars. Here we go. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Strongly. Since the saxophones are playing in syncopations, I decided to go ahead and give the brass notes that are on the beats that the saxophones are not playing. So when the saxophones are playing upbeats, the brass are on the downbeats. When the saxophones are on the downbeats, the brass are on the upbeats. Gives it a little bit of more rhythmic interest. So let's have the brass at 190. Again, you hear the trumpets. They're paraphrasing the melody also at that point in time. Let's put the saxes and the brass together at 190. Let's go ahead and play the whole first 8 bars at 190. Here we go. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. writes an arrangement, that they have a complete awareness of the level of the performers in the group, and if you have a feature artist that you're writing for, that you completely understand that person's style of playing. Just as Duke Ellington always wrote all of his arrangements specifically for the players in his band, whether it was Harry Carney, or whether it was Cat Anderson, or whether it was Johnny Hodges. All the arrangements were uniquely crafted around those players. In this case, I had the luxury of writing an arrangement for a phenomenal saxophonist, Professor Chris Collins, and I know his playing very well and was so comfortable with what he does that I knew I could give him the opportunity to stretch out. So during the solo section, I felt it very important to let the rhythm section come right down to a very low level and do a lot of interacting with Professor Collins so that he can use motivic development and all the things that he does so well. Then slowly allow the arrangement to build over the course of 3 choruses by introducing backgrounds, light backgrounds at first, hence the flutes and the trombones, flutes, clarinets, trombones. Then on the 3rd chorus, we get a more rhythmic full band background which generates intensity, and then that leads us up to the shout chorus. If we could, maybe we could just play the background sections, and let's go ahead and start with the full band at measure 110. This is where the bridge of the 2nd chorus of solo, a very light texture, trombones and woodwinds. The first appearance of the backgrounds behind the soloist, so it's meant to be very quiet, very soft in the background. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Lots of space, still not covering up the soloist. Build. Let's jump over to measure 142. This is the next background section, and now the intensity of the rhythm in the background picks up a little bit. It doesn't get a lot busier, but it does get thicker and more rhythmically pronounced. Here we are at measure 142, full band. A 1, 2, a 1, 2, 3, 4. Rhythmic complexity picks up a little bit, and you also heard the saxes once again highlight a portion of the melody. So using the melody is something that's really important to do. It gives the arrangement a lot of glue. It can give you a lot of mileage.